good evening to all of you. Well, some of you haven't seen you for like 3 weeks. So yes, nice to see you again, and the rest, of course. Okay, tonight we're going to continue with chapter 4. And the page is page 14. So now we're going to do with page 14 to page 15. Those of you who have this book, please refer to this little booklet. It has Chinese, the Chinese pinyin, and also the English explanation. And the other lecture notes here is for the beneficial of those who cannot read Chinese. So it has a word-for-word English, direct translation. Right? So roughly you can get what those Chinese characters mean. So there are 4 pages of this. So let us read the paragraphs, get ourselves calmed down, because KL traffic is quite horrendous. So let's calm ourselves down, read a couple of times, and we'll get into the talk tonight. So let's start with 205, when we see the goodness of others. Okay, ready? Go. When we see the goodness of others, we should encourage ourselves to learn from them. Even if we are far behind them, gradually we will achieve as they have. When we see the faults of others, we should reflect on our own behavior. If we have the same fault, correct it. If we do not have this fault, we should always be alert and not make the same mistake. When our morals, knowledge, and skills are not as good as those of others, we should encourage ourselves to try harder. If the clothes we wear and the food we eat are not as good as what others have, do not feel sad. If criticism makes us angry and compliments make us happy, we will attract bad company, while good friends will leave us. If we are appreciative of criticism and uneasy with compliments, people who are virtuous, sincere, and trustworthy will gradually become our friends. If we accidentally make a mistake, it is only an error. But if we do it on purpose, it is definitely wrong. If we correct our faults and mistakes and do not repeat them, then they will cease. But if we try to cover them up, we will be doubly wrong. To memorize the text by heart, which means that, like we're doing that when we see the goodness of others, we should encourage others or encourage us to learn from them. And when we see the goodness, we learn by heart. Actually, the right way to recite the text is just keep repeating. Okay, so if you can read this 10 times a day, by the end of the month, you'll be able to recite this. Okay, so I hope you don't just read this in the class. When you go home every morning, okay, you repeat what you learned from the class, and every night before you go to sleep, you also repeat it. Not only your English will improve tremendously, and I'm sure your behavior will have a little bit of change as well. Because tonight's topic is about how do we learn from others who are better than us, and at the same time, do not give ourselves up. Okay, it's okay that we are not as good as others in terms of our moral quality, in terms of material goods, confidence. Okay, and it's all right. We make mistakes, because sometimes we make mistakes unintentionally. Does anyone here make mistake purposely? Every time, let's say you you accuse your children wrongly. Did you do it purposely? You didn't do it purposely, right? It's just that you didn't understand, you didn't have the patience, you didn't know how to handle your emotions or his emotions. Therefore, you make the mistakes. For instance, a mom lost his cool, and she kept on beating the child until the child's arms were swollen. Then later on, he found that she was actually a bit too emotional because she couldn't cope with all the moves that she had conducted. With the alienation for familiar environment, but it's not he did it purposely. So we have to forgive people when they make mistakes, just as we can forgive ourselves. We can forgive ourselves better than we can forgive others. Now, how many mistakes we have made, and yet we forgive ourselves? If we look at the mirror and say, "You are awful," I don't like you. We don't, right? Normally the mirror is turned to other people and say, "I don't like you, you are an awful person." But as soon as we say that, then perhaps we should turn the mirror back at us and ask us, right? Why am I so angry? Or why do I feel jealous? Or why do I always feel that my children are wrong? Or my spouse is wrong? My boss is wrong? My customers are wrong? Everybody in the world is wrong except one person. Except myself. So, out of 15 rules in the chapter 4, 7 were about how we speak. Because it is important that we learn how to speak. Because speaking will make a whole world of difference. Because we don't know how to speak, therefore we violate people. For instance, one day one of my staff came in. She was doing some editing job, and she was looking for some PPT. She asked a senior, and the senior said, "Oh, I didn't have the PPT. I don't know where I put it. So I cannot give it to you." And then she came to me and she said, "How could they not know where the PPT is? How can they not prepare this for you?" I mean, before she said the how do, I stopped her. Why did I stop her? I said, the problem with you is you are a very capable lady. You're very capable. But when words come out of your mouth, you sound very accusatory. Means that you sound like you're accusing people. You also make me feel like you are praising yourself and you're putting other people down. So what you're saying is that if you were to have handled that, you will not make that mistake. Is that what you were, implying? So all you need to tell me is that, oh, they cannot find the PPT, whether I know where the PPT is. That's all you need to tell me. You don't need to tell me how come the other people don't have it. Okay, if I were doing it, I would never let it get lost. And that's why when she gave her suggestions, she made people feel offended. Because she's just picking up all the mistakes. The other way I remember is that the day about an MC. So she did something that was not written in the program, but she did an extra thing by letting them to take a 5-minute rest, a meditation. But it wasn't in the program. So she meant well. Then somebody commented that she shouldn't have done that because it wasn't in the program. Now, if the MC had said it, she would feel very hurt because she was thinking that she was doing that for the good of the student, the participants, because she saw them very tired. So she thought maybe help them to relax by giving them an additional 5 minutes meditation. Now, it wasn't that she did not cut into the class time. Okay, the class still came on time. Okay. She just started the meditation 5 minutes earlier when most participants were already in the class. So we can achieve the same purpose without sounding very accusational. We can say that wow, you know, I found that the MC at that day was so considerate. She was so considerate that she took the initiative, okay, to give the participants an additional 5-minute meditation. And yet, you know, the lessons did not delay because she did that 5 minutes earlier. So maybe if it is a good proposition, we should include that in our next course curriculum. Now, doesn't it sound much better? First of all, you affirm that what she did the right thing, what she did was a good thing. Okay. So you also pose the question, if it's good, then maybe we should include it in our next lesson. Now, if the people think it's not good, they will say something like, well, maybe no, we don't have time, and so on. But if everybody thinks it's a good thing, not only you have confirmed the good intention of the MC, you also have what? Included a new plan into the next lesson, next course. So you are actually achieving 2 objectives. But the way he said it was, she shouldn't have done that. That implies that she was wrong. Now, I want you to think about something that you should have said differently, which will make the situation a little bit better. Anyone, can you think about something? That you said something, but you could have achieved the same objective without sounding offending people. Anyone? Just think about the most recent argument or quarrel with somebody. Start from there. Or maybe you never quarrel. Children? Your children? Okay, maybe we start with you. Yeah. No? Okay, so think about it, okay? Now, every time we say our children have done something wrong and he or she can be forgiven, can we have said it a little bit better? So always look at it from, can I say it better, achieve the same purpose without getting him or her angry, and without getting me mad and angry. And so always think about it in this way. So the rule 205 is to overcome, you know, our jealousy, our anger, the confrontation. All these factors, they are always factoring into our life, troubling us. We are jealous because we feel insecure. How do you feel, let's say if you're married and your husband starts to seem to talk to the other woman a little bit too close? Do you feel like uneasy? Okay. Do you start accusing him? Okay. Do you start to become angry and want to confront him? Or is there any greediness inside you that you would like to have, you know, more praises? So the Rule 6972 actually includes 205 to 208. And these are the words we should take out from our dictionary. But don't be fearful of them. Don't be fearful in the sense that, oh, I'm afraid that I will get jealous. I'm afraid that I will get angry. I'm afraid that I will be confrontational. I'm afraid that I will be greedy. Now, every time when you say you're afraid of this, afraid of that, what happens? Every time you say, oh, gang, oh, gang, oh, gang. We attract what we feel. It's like a giant magnet. The more we fear something, the more it will happen. Okay, let's think about ourselves. Now, before you get married, did you ever tell yourself you will never get marry such a man? Let's ask the lady. Did you ever ask yourself, tell yourself, you will never marry such and such a man? And then what happened? Too late already. So subconscious, and I will always say, maybe I will never marry such and such a woman. Then in the end, sorry, this young man kept telling me, he said, oh, I'm a traditional Chinese man, I want to find a woman who is very submissive, okay, who is very submissive, and I am the man because my mother says so. I must be the man in the family. Moreover, she cannot be someone from another foreign countries because where should we go during Chinese New Year? See, every Chinese New Year must come back to Malaysia, to home. So if I marry someone from a foreign country, then we will have this argument, whether we should go home or not. And maybe only I come back and children and my wife, stay back in the foreign country. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Then he told me he found this girlfriend who lives in another country, and he fell in love with her, and she was not very submissive. She was very independent, she received an education in another country, and she came from a very rich family, so there's no way she's going to be very submissive to him. And so life plays jokes on us, but because of the distance, finally they part. Then I look again, she kept falling into girls who are stronger than her. So I asked him, excuse me, you seem to be very good friends with the weaker ladies, but how come the ones who really get your attention are the ones who are stronger than you? Didn't you tell me you want a very submissive woman, you want her to be totally controlled by you? She said, yes, I don't know why. You see, every time you say, I'm afraid of a woman who is stronger than me, what are you thinking? You are thinking of a woman who is strong, isn't it? You kept thinking about a woman who is strong. Okay, you kept thinking about, I don't want a woman who is very bad tempered. So you're thinking about a woman who is bad tempered. Every day you think like that. So it's like a giant magnet. You will be attracted to the woman who is very bad tempered or who may be very strong, totally opposite to what you think. Then another man said, no, it's not true, because before I started as an insurance company, I wanted to actually make people together, hopefully make the families be together because they have insurance, so they can insure the families, that they won't have to worry about financial problems because they have insurance. And just like I wouldn't want my family to fall apart because I cannot pay insurance. So I was thinking about all these good things for other people, but in the end, I failed in my insurance business. But what was the fear behind his insurance business? His fear was that the family will fall apart without insurance. His own family. He wasn't thinking about really finding benefits for other people. He actually still has some fear inside. So his fear was that people cannot get along. So in the end, he couldn't get along with clients, and clients always gave him troubles here and there, because he kept on thinking about not wanting the troubles. So when you not want the troubles, what are you thinking? You are thinking about the troubles. If you say, I don't want to fail, I don't want to fail, I don't want to fail. So which word appear in your mind all the time? Fail, 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 fail. So what do you want? Okay, you say, oh, can I say I don't want to be success, I want to be success, I want to be successful. Maybe if you keep on saying, I don't want to be successful, I don't want to be successful, but all the time the word is what? Successful keep on ringing in your head. So we attract what we fear, especially the fear the most, because we kept on thinking and thinking about it. So if you say, I don't want to get jealous, the point is not about not to get jealous, but it's to understand why we get jealous. We get jealous because, number one, actually we don't have security about ourselves. Deep down inside us, we feel that we are not good enough. So we just feel that somebody else is better. But if you compare, like say, two of you, you're not necessarily worse. The other woman cannot be comparable to you. You are much better. But because you don't feel good about yourself, therefore you may think that, oh, she's better. Otherwise, why is my husband so interested in her? So you see, what are you thinking? My husband is interested in her. She is better. She is better. My husband is interested in her. This thing keep on ringing in your head. Another example, if you think your child is bad, my child is bad. Or I don't want my child to be bad. You see, child bad, child bad. I don't want my child to be bad. It's like saying, if you say, but nobody will say, I don't want my child to be good. But you will not say that. Right? So change it around. I want my child to be good. I want my child to be good. See, one child good, child good, child good. Don't jump on the negativity. Put this all out of your vocabularies. Okay? So think the other way. Okay? Always think the positive. Okay? So if you think that you are ugly, what do you have to think? Oh, you are so afraid of being ugly. You're so afraid of being ugly. So what do? We go alter the nature. Right? Origin is very natural. Huh? So, but we are so insecure about ourselves. We keep on thinking, I'm so afraid of aging. I'm so afraid of being ugly. So I go and change the way I look. But maybe after I change the way I look worse. Because it's no longer natural. Sometimes I think when people age, they should age gracefully. I think the way aging, like Professor Chung is very nice. And you see, he still doesn't have the droopy cheek. You know how after 50 years old, we drop on both sides? Master Ching Kong, Professor Ching Kong still doesn't, still very like taut, very tight. And funny, he doesn't have liver spot. At his age, 86 years old. And his complexion was so smooth, much smoother than mine. It's very smooth and almost illuminating. His skin is absolutely illuminating. His head is very shiny. You know, he doesn't need to wear glasses most of the time unless he's reading very small print, which is something very rare to most of us. Because he's not afraid. And the word lao means old. You like to be called an old lady? 老人家, I think 老人家 you don't like to be right. But for the master, the word lao is an honor. He said in Chinese society, being lao is good. So we call him Lao和尚, the old monk. He said not everybody can earn the title Lao. So I cannot call you Lao Li, Lao O Carry, I cannot. You must earn the honor to be addressed as somebody who's elderly. So 老人家 is a what? It's a good description. Okay, so 老 being actually a good title. The older you are, the more valuable you become. That should be the ancient way because they accumulate wisdom. So 我不想老啊，我想老我就会老了，我也不怕老，也没有老。If you don't have this, thought about being old, then it doesn't, occur. So I found that, for instance, moms who came to attend our course for 3 days or 5 or 7 days or 9 days, because for those days they can totally let go of their families for the short period of time. I noticed that their complexion became younger and younger. The way they look, they became more and more bubbly, as if they went back to become a girl. As soon as they finished the course, they went home, they became haggard again. So it's an 一切法从经想 that we are shaped by what we say. And what shape our thought, is our perceived consciousness. We think, but something that we think actually may not be true. But we are just letting our consciousness to shape, the way we think. So here, it said first of all, then how do we get rid of all these negative feelings? Rule number 1, learn from others. Now, when we see the goodness of others, we should encourage ourselves to learn from them. Even if we are far behind them, gradually we will achieve as they have. Okay. So when we see other people, let's say, can manage a house properly, can manage their children properly, even though they have a career, we should praise them. Instead of, so what's so great about them? Because they have help. Means I don't have help, because she has help. But the fact that she got help because what? She was a nice person, so she got her neighbors, her friends, her relatives helping her. So don't put people down. When people have done something good, no matter how small it is, praise them. See, people who always feel that they are not loved usually do not know how to love others. Okay, so recently I met a young man. He told me, nobody loves me. I've never been happy. I've never been happy. Nobody loves me. So I said, why do you feel that? He said, I don't know. I don't know why I feel like that. I just feel that I cannot step outside and let other people understand more about me. I also don't want to understand other people. I'm afraid to meet people. I'm afraid of people knowing me, and I'm afraid to know them. So I said, what, did you love anybody before? He said, not really. I said, you didn't even love your father, did you? He said, yeah, I didn't love him. The mother? I said, I don't feel. I said, maybe that's your problem. It's not that there's nobody love you. You yourself never love anybody or let them love you. Every time you get into a relationship, you seem to blow it because you're too afraid. I said, don't be afraid. At least love yourself. Because he contemplated committing suicide 10 years ago. And now he's thinking about doing it again. I said, at least love yourself. If you cannot love anybody else, at least love yourself. Don't take away your own life. Because life comes very, come by easily. And 你要爱你自己，你要先爱你自己。Because if you take, nobody can help you if you do not help yourself. Never give up on yourself. And if nobody loves you, what do we do? If nobody loves us, what do we do? You love yourself, right? Then after you learn how to love yourself, what is the next step? Now you really are proud of yourself. You could stand up on your own, independent, you work hard, you look at every day as if it's a new day. The fact that we can open our eyes, still pinch and say, we're still alive, is a blessing. You only have to go to hospital to look at the patients, to know that how precious life is. Sometimes we need to go to hospital, to go to orphanage, and go to even to, our colleagues went to a leopard treatment center. And they went in and they started to cry. Why did they start to cry? Because I think when they saw real suffering, you know how in some quarters, like 3 people slept on the same, like one area, one big bed, and some of them like face, and because they were leopards. And they had to be taken care of, and the place was smelly. They couldn't really control their movements. They didn't let them come out. Or even to hospitals. The people were sick. The smell, the stench, these sufferings. We could very much become one of them. If we really could predict that, we will die peacefully, one day I just sit there and then I talk and talk. Suddenly I tell all of you, well, it's time for me to go. I will put this way. I say, okay, now the camera is rolling. All of you are here. Thank you very much. Time, okay, 9:30. Okay, I'm going. Okay, I just sit here and then boom. And then my colleague will come in and hello, hello. Then I'm gone. That would be a nice way to nice to go. Just like I think Henry Adam. He was sitting on a rocking chair reading a book, and then suddenly he stopped rocking and was gone. And a lot of older people could do that. They almost seem to know that they were dying. They were going to go. They went and take a shower. They changed their clothes. They went to the toilet several times. They came out at a time when you guys were not around, either at midnight or when you were gone. Because if you were around, you would disturb him, disturb her. So you just quietly just sit there or sleep there and go away. So we need to remember how precious life is. We also complain we walk, we're very tired to walk. So when we find parking, usually where we will park? The closest to the entrance. Right? Because we don't want to walk for many reasons. Maybe due to the heat, or you're so afraid of being robbed, so you want to go as close as possible. And we usually sit all day and we want to walk. But the fact that we can walk is a blessing. In the old age, the first sign of aging is a weak leg. When our legs start to get weak, we know that age has come up to us. So when we can walk as much as you can. If you elevator, you go to 5th floor, try to climb up to the 5th floor. Not only you can save the environment, save the electricity, okay, save the trouble of being trapped in the elevator, well, I hope it won't happen to you. And you get exercise. Okay? So be blessed about this body, what this body has helped you. This is a piece of fantastic machine, created by our parents. So we should actually value it. Okay? Don't simply overlook it. But we do a lot of things to destroy our health, don't we? Do you like to drink ice water? You like to drink what do you call fizzle drinks? That means drinks with gas. Do you like to eat very spicy food? Like sour food? Spicy and sour? Do you have late supper? All these things. You like to sleep late? And just skip your breakfast or have a very light breakfast? Just get by, then 12 o'clock, don't eat what? So breakfast should be what? Nutritious. Lunch should be just eat a rich lunch. Then dinner, you eat a light dinner. Or if you don't eat dinner, it's okay. So learn to keep ourselves healthy, physically and mentally. So he wasn't doing anything. He just kept on sympathizing himself. He felt that the whole world did not like him. So if the whole world doesn't like you, who can like yourself? You can like yourself, right? So once you like yourself, you start to like other people. Give love to other people. So I also want you to think, when was the last time you helped somebody else? Did you help somebody? Yeah, look at each other. If you don't look at each other, then look at the one across you. Ask them, did you help somebody lately or years ago or maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Which year, what was the last time? When was the last time you helped somebody? Think about that. So then on the other hand, when we see the faults of others, we should reflect on our own behavior. Now, if we have the same fault, then correct it. If we don't have this, we should alert ourselves and make sure we don't make the same mistakes. Now let's turn to you have this book. 全书纪要. Let's turn to page 14. Page 14, quote number 13. Confucius said, to make a mistake and not correct it is a real mistake. To know that you have made a mistake and not correct it is a real mistake. So if we have a mistake, then correct it. And if we don't have the mistake, then warn ourselves not to make the same mistake. And then 71, when our morals, knowledge, and skills are not as good as those of others, we should encourage ourselves to try harder. This is important because we can easily give up on ourselves. We're not good enough, we'll never be like him or her. No. If we are not good enough, always try our best to be better. Never say, I'm not good enough. 当自砪 means encourage myself, to try harder. And 72, if the clothes we wear and the food we eat are not as good as what others have, do not feel sad. Okay, we don't have to compare each other's clothing. You wear a brand, I also need to wear the brand. This we don't need to. You can never, I think it's hard to keep up, isn't it? Somebody buy a certain something back and you have to go and have that. It's hard to keep up. You don't need to compare. Like yourself, know your style, know your body, physical shape, and you can mix and match without it being very extravagant. Just know your color. And then when we face criticism, just now we said we make a mistake and not correct is a real mistake. Now when we face criticism, which is 70 to 72, right? Rule 70 to 72, which is from 209 all the way, okay, to 228, is how do we face our shortcomings? We face our shortcomings courageously. Accept others' criticisms and comments gracefully. Notice the key word is what? Gracefully. Now, the rules you see here, Rule 73 to 74, now this is important because we always do the opposite. What do we do there is the opposite. If criticism makes us angry and compliments make us happy, we will attract bad company while good friends will leave us. Now, criticism makes us angry. Does anybody like criticism? Not many people like criticism, okay? But we all like compliments. But if we have such a, tendency, we must kind of remind ourselves. If we like praise and not like, comments and criticism, we will only attract people who always praise us, but do not help us to change ourselves. So if you have a friend, okay, who can tell you as it is, he's a real friend. Okay? So following, if we are appreciative of criticism and uneasy with compliments, people who are virtuous, sincere, and trustworthy will gradually become our friends. I'm going to touch something about friendship. Okay, us. Confucius, okay? A little bit of comparison, compare and contrast. Now, friends, what is a friend to you? What is a friend to you? 邊個正好朋友? How can a person be, before you will say, he's my friend, or she's my friend? A trustworthy guy, okay? Or he must be trustworthy. can share. Okay, can share each other what? Deep dark secrets. Confident, can be confident. Which means it's also trustworthy. Because you can trust him to be your confidant. But you will tell him, you reveal to him things that sometimes you won't even tell your wife, you will tell him. Okay, yes, there's trust factor here. Anybody else? Any input about a friend?
Acceptance. Able to accept who you are.
Okay, a friend who is very accepting. Because he can accept who you are. Okay, whether you could be totally different from him or her, but he can accept what you are because you appreciate each other's strength and also know the other person's weaknesses. And most important, I think one of these is actually we would listen to the others and tell the others, well, why I cannot change now, but I will bear your words in my mind. Okay? But if I think you're reasonable, you make sense, I will listen. Okay? I'm not as stubborn as I will not listen. Now, if you always make friends with people who will not listen to you, always go contrary to you, maybe you wouldn't want to be his or friends either. So the accepting, actually sometimes it still goes two ways. That actually you will listen to each other. Good. Anything else about friends? Yes. Your friends? Sincere. Okay, let's be sincere. He's very sincere. He doesn't play tricks. He's not crook. He's honest. Sincere.
Chemistry.
Chemistry. Okay, which chemistry you look for?
Sometimes, how you say? Sometimes when you see somebody, it's like you just cannot talk to the person, or you just don't like the person. Sometimes there is certain people that you first time you meet, you just like you know, even you know them one day, it feels like you know them many years like that.
Like that. What if he's not trustworthy? You may have the impression, but later on he's not trustworthy. He's not sincere, he's not accepting. You still see that as well. Sometimes chemistry only lasts certain years. It may not last a long time. But then again, it's your definition. It's a definition of what a friend attributes to you. Usually things that goes on charisma or chemistry or certain emotional factors, it doesn't last too long. So it said that 君子之交淡如水. The friendship of a gentleman is as plain as water. It's not as strong as a wine, or as the alcohol. Chemistry is something like alcohol. Wow, very strong. You look at that person, I like that person. With no reason. That is what I call karma. Previous lives, I don't know who owns what. It's just like, I don't like him. I don't have no explanation. But it only lasts a certain period of time because whatever you owe that person, you pay back, or whatever he owes you, he pays you back, and all this past life debt is paid, and you become strangers. Okay, over some silly comments maybe, which seems very small, but to two of you maybe is the line, it's the cause that caused you to separate from each other later on. But actually it's accumulated for many years. So really nothing else?
Ready to help.
Very much?
Ready to help. Always help each other.
Oh, always help each other. Very helpful. Yes, important. They can help each other. Okay, in richness or in poor. In dire straits or in jolly days. You'll always be with each other. Now, not only be helpful, and also you can enjoy each other's what? Success. That means accepting. You can enjoy each other's success. What do you say that? Like, there is a Chinese saying that said, 可以共患难，不可以共富贵. Means that, yeah, you can go through hardship with this friend, or this person, but you cannot enjoy good times with this person, because this person will get jealous. And so when you are poor, you're nobody, you're independent, maybe he get along with you very well. But once you become successful and so on, this person may turn around and feel jealous about you. So not only that he is helpful in hard time, he's also helpful during good time. 他可以共患难，又可以共富贵，这也是真的朋友。And never jealous of you, is always very accepting. So let's look at Confucius. He started off a friend. Let's turn to page. Let's quote 150. Page 175. Page 175, quote 150. Now, Confucius said, there are 3 kinds of friendship which are beneficial and 3 kinds of friendship which are harmful. So the 3 kinds of friendship which are beneficial are being friends with people who are fair-minded, that means he is fair. He doesn't just pamper you because you're his friend, or he doesn't accuse you because he's probably jealous of you. No, he won't. He's always fair-minded, he's sincere, and he is knowledgeable. Why is knowledgeable important for a friend? None of you think about knowledgeable, right? 为什么有多闻 is a benefit? Yes.
So that we can always look for advice or some
Guidance.
guidance.
Yes. That's what we call that like chemistry thing, You can talk about what? You can talk about any news, any things, any affairs. That's why he said, I can talk to this person about things that I can't even talk to my closest relative. Why? Because he's knowledgeable. He can tell you to see things from all kinds of angles. He can take you out of your misery. And he needs certain intellect ability in all these people. And nothing is more, not boring, but nothing is more kind of defeatist. If you keep on talking to a person who has nothing inside, it's very empty. You don't know what to talk to them anymore. So, as a friend, knowledge here is not just knowledge without wisdom, but it also means it's very widely learned. He has this, he's a very intellectual person, he's also a wise person, right? And he can help you to see things that you fail to see. And get a friend like that. Not a friend who, you feed on each other's emotion. When you say, today I feel really bad because my boss are giving me HELL again. And she said, hello, 真係衰嘅你。terrible boss very bad your boss. Why don't you do something? I cannot do something I need a job. I swear you need a job. But I tell you, if you find another job, quickly run. Go away, don't run this one. You see, feeding on each other's negative emotion. Instead, she should ask you, or he should ask you, oh really, why? Why do you seem to always not happy about your job? What is that you're doing? Then you talk about your job, and then you analyze your job. Maybe you tell you, maybe you should be a little bit more considerate. In an office, you need to work with people. You may be the best worker in the company or in your office, but everything you do, you seem to put everybody else down. Nobody's going to like you. They may even do things to obstruct you. Okay? So don't always say that other people are wrong. Maybe you have to look at yourself too. I have been your friend for 10 years or 20 years. I know you have a bad temper. You must be able to tell her that or him that instead of saying, hello, nobody understands you. The whole world doesn't understand you. Only I understand you. They are all bad people. No. They must be able to be knowledgeable enough, intelligent enough to analyze situations for a friend. Help that friend to lift himself or herself out of a difficult situation. These three things that Confucius look for in a friend is not in that he's fair-minded, he's very fair, and he's very sincere, and he's an intellectual, and he's a wise man. Then being friends with people, friends who are bad company are deceptive, they lie to you, they cheat you, they are unprincipled, they don't have principle. And what is like an unprincipled? For instance, you go out, she said, let's go and have dinner. Okay, so our friends, we go have dinner. And then you look at the watch, and then it's about 10 o'clock, you say you need to go home. You say, yeah, it's still early, let's go and have a drink. Go to the pub and have a drink. You say, I have a friend, right? Go and have a drink. And look at the clock, it's 11 already. So you say, I don't have to go home. The night is still young. The night is still young. Why do you want to go home so early? So he said, well, but I got a wife. I said, wife, you have been married for 10 years already. Get some change. Look at all these pretty girls here. These are unprincipled. Will lure you into what? You have friends like that? Come lah, enjoy lah. 一晚啫嘛，冇相干嘛，你都唔知嘅。一晚啫嘛 ，one day only 嘛 ，one time only 嘛。You know this one time only I also tell myself one time only go to Tong Bafu and eat the shop. In the what the snow not snow, the ice very delicious, isn't it? Now look, the price tag it was not cheap, but it's so delicious. One time only 1 year once That's how the calculate more than once. We kept telling ourselves, 没关系啦，久久一次。久久一次 means long time once. Never mind. It's that long time to it once that you accumulate it, it becomes more than once, twice, or 3 times. So we have to tell them firmly. Yeah, I still like you, buddy, but hey, I have principle. I got a family. I don't want my wife to wait at home. I said, I need to go home. And so should you. You also have a family. That we shouldn't do these things, behind our wives. Next time we have children, they may follow our example. Not good, man, buddy. Moreover, we have drank enough. One of us have to stay sober to drive the other guys back home. Okay, always say we are very rich with the driver. Don't let the driver wait too long. The driver also have families. Just because they work for us, it doesn't mean that we can exploit them to the last beat. They shouldn't wait to us until way past 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, we may be good, drunk, driven back home. But what about his family? Let's think for your drivers as well. So, it was in principle, but it is unprincipled. It's a very this friendship is not very beneficial. And the third one is smooth talking. 它是一个善柔辩应偏应 That means he knows how to talk. He knows how to make you feel good. May not be right, but it will make you feel good about it. And so these are the 3 friends, 2 types of friends who you have to be aware of, and 3 types of friends who you should be friends of. Because we need friends. We need colleagues who can tell us what's wrong with us. Especially the higher you go, you will find that there will be less people telling you about your faults. One, it could be your age. You are old, so people don't want to tell you about your fault because they know that if they tell you, you won't change anyway. It's hard. And secondly, if your position is high in the company, your junior staff do not dare to tell you. So we said, 好自為之. When we are top hierarchy, 好自為之. Don't have to wait until other people tell us, or don't wait until the situation endangers us. There's another great quote, quote 16. page 17. See, what is a 大忌? What is the greatest, actually, warning we should be aware of? The most serious blunder we can make is in knowing we have failings. That means we're not adequate, we have faults, and yet we refuse to correct them until such failings harm and cost our life. So don't wait until that moment. Especially when nobody else dare to give you any advice because you just won't listen. But one day you're going to get what you get. So don't wait until that moment. And about making mistakes, if we accidentally make a mistake, it's a mistake. We didn't do it purposely, so it's just an error. But if we do it on purpose, it's definitely wrong. So if you said, okay, I do this purposely to punish him, no, that's wrong. You don't do something purposely to punish them. Have you ever thought like that? You did? Wait, don't think like that, okay? Today, let's say I have to use a whip to whip you on the hands because there's a reason. Not because I do it to make you learn. That is revengeful. And some people believe in karma, how if you do bad things, you reincarnate in the next world. So they believe that if you're delusionary and you always do things, deluded, not knowing the truth, then you end up like an animal. So if we see a pig being slaughtered or an animal being slaughtered, we say, aha, serve him right, serve her right, because previous life bad, therefore become an animal. No, that is wrong. Even though that animal might have made some great use in the past life and landed in what it is now, when we look at it suffering, we should not enjoy their suffering. We still be sympathetic, help that animal, to reduce their suffering. Because if you do something purposely to hurt somebody, that is definitely wrong. And most of the time, people make mistakes because they didn't know it. Now, we like to say in Confucius, remember? That's somehow Confucius' friendship. Remember what he said about good friends? Let's revise a little bit. What he said about a true friendship is fair-minded, sincere, and knowledgeable. A beneficial friendship. And just now we talk about when we see other people making mistakes, it's unintentional. The Chinese, we like to say, when I ask you something and you say you don't know, right? The way it's written is 不知道. I don't know. But if you dissect this statement carefully, the Chinese would easily say 不知, 鸡, 知咪好咯，係咪？I don't know. Why they put a 道？做咩我真係唔知道咧？那put a 道，就是說你真的是不知道 ，you don't know the right way, you don't know the right path, the right course. 道 is a path. The path, the way. You really lost your way. You don't know the way. That's what it means. So next time you say 唔知道咯。Bear in mind that you really have lost your path. You don't know. So it's like you don't know the path. You don't know the way. So people really don't know the way. That's why they make mistakes. So always be forgiving and understanding. Just like here it says that the friend must be understanding, and he is knowledgeable enough. He will be a little bit more understanding because he has covered many areas. Like for instance, when we lecture, we might have referred to the maid as what kakak. Right? Now, when we hear kakak, do you feel anything special? Do you call the Indonesian maid kakak? You call kakak. Actually, it's a good term, a nice term, my sister, right? But what we didn't know that was like this word is very derogative to some Indonesian people. Because they felt that whenever we refer to this, it's referring, all Indonesians are maids. And they heard this news about maids being killed and tortured. You know how one news like that will spread all over the world. There are so many maids, Indonesian workers here, but you have one case, the whole world will know about it. So she heard a lot about it. She had this impression. So when I said like the gaga, she felt very kind of what? It's not a nice term. Now if we don't have this knowledge, if we didn't knew about it, we keep on saying gaga. Meanwhile, I'm offending like so many Indonesians. So next time we know that just maid, just servant at home. We do not refer to someone's nationality. That we would not offend the nationality of the country. So we also don't say Filipino maid, Indonesian maid. Maybe next time a Chinese maid. If a Chinese cannot come over as maid, because what?
Worried the elders will be seduced.
Yeah, right. Men must have confidence now, right? You won't be like that, right? You won't be seduced, will you? Oh no. You will. That's why they're worried. They don't know it. So we know that like sometimes knowledge is important, sometimes the cultural thing, the cross-cultural thing. The other thing about like another culture is that it's a certain culture, they don't like you to shout at them in the public. So if you want to admonish them or rectify their fault, you must do that in a private room. They don't like to be humiliated, in the public. So you've got to know the culture of a country. So we need to have like knowledge, in a certain way that will help us to actually avoid human conflicts, confrontation. So all this means that Dao, the path,弟子规is trying to sort out a balance, to a world which is more and more towards grooming talents and competence instead of virtue. So if we can draw, let's say, the scale from a very extreme, let's say we have one very virtuous person, down here who is an unvirtuous person. These are two extreme cases. And if we have on the horizontal line, we have one who is very competent person, and on the other end is a very incompetent person. Now, what is competent and incompetent? I'm basing it on an essay called A Discourse on Competence and Virtues by 司马光, 才德论. So to him, competence means one who is smart, one who is observant, one who is strong, one who is very resolute. He's a very competent person. Competent. 聪察强毅 means competence. Resolute means he's very determined. Nothing can turn him away from his discourse. He's very willful, never will give up. He's a very resolute person. And whereas virtues means upright, sincere, fair, and amicable. Amicable means he or she is easily get along. It's not a tough person, to get along. Okay. 正直中和 Chinese. One is 聪察强毅，是正直中和。Now, this is the definition of competence. Okay. Now, here we seem to be concentrating on this sector a lot more than we concentrate on this sector. Okay, because with this ability, you can already be a very outstanding leader or manager with all these qualities. But you may not be upright, you may not be sincere, you may not be fair, you're not even a nice person to be with. So if we look at these four quarters, now if you are virtuous, and if one person is virtuous and competent, let's say in this area, so we have a person who is both virtuous and competent. So this is the idea of a saint. 德才兼备。而且不是备哦，而且还是尽。That means he has all of it. Okay, 德才兼备。Then over here, we have somebody who's virtuous but not very competent. 叫做德胜才。So he's what we call still can be a superior person. So here is a superior person called 君子，这个是圣人，这个是 superior person 君子，给他德胜才。For a person like this, even though he's not competent, he would use people who are competent. He will engage people who are competent to help him to accomplish things. So he still can contribute to the society. What happens if you are competent and you are unvirtuous? 才圣德 over here. You are very competent, but you are unvirtuous. 这个是才圣德。 When you are 才圣德, you become an unscrupulous person. Or what we call a petty man. 这就是小人，圣人、君子、小人。Over here, petty person. No, and in 圣人、君子，这是小人。And this is the most dangerous type because he has the ability to harm, to do things that are really destructive to other people. So he is most destructive. 这种小人是最 destructive 的。And 小人 he could spend a lot of time trying to destroy you. That's all he likes to do best. He thinks of nothing but ways to destroy you, or destroy an enterprise, a business, or even a country or a company. I remember one day a teacher, she was a little bit worried because she heard I said in the class that as long as somebody is competent, we can use that person. Actually, I did not say that. What I said was, if you see somebody who is competent but lack maybe a virtue, and he works in your office, what should you do? Okay, let's ask Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, what should we do? You are working with a person who is very competent but lack virtue.
I think we've got to be very cautious.
You'll be very cautious, right? But would you say, okay, you totally ignore that person?
No.
No, right? You will do it.
That is a strength.
You tap his strength and try to help him or let him see the bad side of his behavior.
Yes.
And if he doesn't listen and he's going to harm the company, you will bring this out. But you never give him up first.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what I was saying. Then, but she thought I said that as long as someone is competent, we should just use that person. She said, it's very dangerous, teacher, because in her school, what happened was the superior engaged someone who was very competent but who was very unscrupulous. So in the end, he even managed to kick his superior out. So I said, did you do anything? She said, no, I did not. Why? I was too afraid. So she was too afraid to deal with it until the things become very bad. Until she said, even the other college, principal and so on, they knew about this person. That was how serious that incident was. Okay. So yeah, people like that, you could really stir things up and destroy your company, destroy your school, destroy the relationship, between people, because they have the ability. They are smart, they observant. How do they observe it? They know what the boss like and don't like. They know how to please people. They're very observant, and they are strong, very capable, and they're very determined. There is nothing scarier than a determined with a very bad purpose. Because he's determined to get his way. So all these things will become harmful if he doesn't lack consideration, if he doesn't have the virtue. Then how about, somebody who is unvirtuous but who is incompetent? 这个无才无德呢？才德兼无。才德兼无 that means he is a foolish person. 愚人。 为什么是愚人呢 ？He likes to do bad things, but he doesn't have the ability, so he will do a lot of wrong things. But not as bad as this person, because this person is capable of destruction. He may like to destroy, but he doesn't have the ability. So still, the destructive extent is smaller. So we say this, a yuren is a foolish person. So today, our system, our social system, our school system, the entire media seem to be concentrating on this sector. Okay, if I tell you I want to be famous one day, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a good thing, right? You know what? You know how can one be famous? We can be famous the good way, we can also be famous the bad way. So when you hear somebody say, oh, I'm famous, don't be too happy, okay? Ask the next question. Why do you want to be, what do you want to be famous about? Okay, ask the next question. They will indicate to you which sector is he in. And he said, I want to be remembered for future generations. Well, ask the next question. What do you want to be remembered for? So yeah, just do something crazy, outrageous, wear something outrageous, walk through the street or say something outrageous, yeah, you get all kinds of publicity for you. And whereas if you want to be a good person and you can't achieve it, then people will say all kinds of bad things about you. But if you're already bad enough, it seems to be okay because you're already so bad. There's nothing worse people can say. So be fair, actually be fair-minded to people who are trying to be good. Encourage them, don't discourage them. There are already too many bad things happening. Too many people already have gone bad. So anybody who is trying to be a good person, we should give them all our, encouragement. And don't attack them by saying, you only know how to say that, but you don't know how to do it. But at least he knows how to say it. So at least when he say more, talk more, he will strive towards that direction. Have you ever thought that if he didn't read this great book, he doesn't talk about it, it could be worse? Think about it that way. Don't always say that, 你看弟子规教什么？过能改吗？你看你又不改。Don't say that. He said, 你看弟子规教我们过能改归于无嘛。If you make mistakes, do not repeat them. Then they will cease. 这样吗？那不是更好听吗？是不是？你看你又没改，你看你读什么弟子规？They will always like to use that kind of language. Where's a boy who's already very bad? You just look at him, 不用再讲了，不会改的啦。You did accept it, but your child is trying to be a good boy, and then if he makes one mistake, and you say, 你看。But he said, 倘揜飾增一辜. Don't try to cut them off. Admit that it's your fault. You make a mistake. Correct it. Okay, don't cover it up. You cover up, you will be double wrong. First wrong for making a mistake. Second wrong is you cover the mistake. So double mistake. But always be courage. Otherwise, they will either stay here. They want to be smart. They want to be praised by you. Okay, they don't want to be this person. Upright, sincere, fair. So encourage them to be in this sector. If they cannot be in this sector, at least be in this sector. These are just extreme ends. They will lie somewhere in between, not to the extreme. Always encourage them to stay in this sector. And we start with this trustworthiness. So I'll end my lecture tonight. I'll see you next week. Thank you very much.